Their wedding rings sparkled under studio lights, their smiles were flawless, their love? Pure fiction. Hollywood's golden age wasn't just about dazzling stars and silver screens, it was about illusion. And nowhere was that illusion more powerful or more cruel than in the marriages designed by studio executives. The weddings you saw on magazine covers, the perfect Hollywood couples that America adored. Many of them were manufactured performances scripted by men in suits who saw their actors not as people, but as profitable properties. Behind every radiant smile was a contract. Behind every kiss, a lie. And behind those lies, heartbreak, coercion, and sometimes complete erasure of a person's true identity. Today, we're tearing off the wedding veil Hollywood never wanted you to lift. This isn't just a story about love gone wrong. It's about the machine that built those lies and the stars who either broke under its control or found a way to survive it. That if this kind of story touches your heart, if you're someone who cares about truth, responsibility, and speaking up for the voiceless, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who should hear it. Let's get started. Before the curtain falls, 5 facts the studio's buried. Before diving into the marriages themselves, let's expose a few chilling facts buried in studio archives. Fact 1. MGM ran a secret compatibility department staffed by psychologists. Their job? To match stars, not for chemistry, but for marketability. Fact 2. Some marriage contracts dictated how often the couple must be photographed together. There were even clauses about how affectionate they had to appear in public. Fact 3. Warner Brothers once staged a honeymoon. Both newlyweds spent it in separate hotels with their actual lovers, while studio photographers created fake vacation photos. Fact 4. One executive, when asked about celebrity weddings, famously quipped, "Marriage is just another costume our actors wear." Fact 5. In one notorious case, a studio borrowed a secretary's pregnancy to fake a baby announcement for a fabricated couple. Hollywood's happily ever afters weren't romantic stories, they were marketing strategies. And the lives behind them? Some never recovered. 1. Rock Hudson and Phyllis Gates, the perfect cover story. November 9th, 1955. America's most eligible bachelor, Rock Hudson, finally marries. His bride? His agent's secretary, Phyllis Gates. The headlines gushed. Hollywood's handsome hero finds true love. The photos showed them glowing, perfect posture, perfect smiles, perfect lie. Because every part of their relationship, from their chance meeting to their vows, was engineered. Hudson was a superstar, rugged, masculine, adored. He was also gay in a time when being discovered meant career death. Rumors were spreading fast, and a tabloid expose loomed. His agent, Henry Wilson, had handled such crises before, often by creating elaborate cover stories. This time, he didn't just spin one. He cast it. Gates was told Hudson was smitten. Hudson was told Gates knew the arrangement. Neither had the full script. The wedding was orchestrated by Universal's publicity department. The guest list, the photographer positions, even the honeymoon route, all chosen for press coverage. Behind closed doors, they lived separate lives. Hudson continued seeing men discreetly through coded phone calls and secret signals. Gates, realizing the truth, later wrote, "I was living with a stranger pretending to be my husband." 3 years later, the studio dissolved the illusion quietly, efficiently, with lawyers and a non-disclosure clause. Hudson went on to become one of Hollywood's greatest tragic figures, dying in 1985 without ever fully escaping the role he'd been forced to play. His final words to a friend summed it all up: "I never got to live one day as myself in the light." 2. Barbara Stanwyck and Robert Taylor, marriage by contract. When Barbara Stanwyck slid a contract across the MGM commissary table in 1939, Robert Taylor thought she was joking. She wasn't. Page 17, paragraph 4, she said flatly, "The studios decided we're in love." Their wedding that year became the talk of Hollywood. 2 beautiful stars, 1 glamorous ceremony, a dozen camera flashes. To the public, they were a perfect couple. To MGM, they were a perfect solution. Both faced dangerous rumors. Stanwyck, fiercely independent, was whispered to be romantically linked with women. Taylor was known for wild partying and ambiguous relationships that SOMGM solved both problems with one union of convenience. Internal memos later revealed the truth. Their marriage was a business transaction, a publicity arrangement with mutual benefit. They played the parts brilliantly. Photos of cozy breakfasts staged on soundstages. Magazine tours of their home decorated by MGM's set department. Even the messy dishes in the sink were placed there by a prop master. In private, they lived separately and ran their marriage like a business partnership. They met quarterly to plan interviews, joint appearances, and photo ops. It wasn't a romance, but it was honest in its dishonesty that a friend of Taylor's once said, "Barbara ran that marriage like a production schedule." It was probably the most truthful marriage in Hollywood, because they both knew exactly what it was. When they divorced in 1951, MGM spun the story as an amicable split of two professionals with great respect for one another. Stanwyck never remarried. Taylor moved on to a more conventional family life. In the end, their marriage was perhaps the purest reflection of Golden Age Hollywood itself, beautiful, profitable, and completely artificial. 3. Judy Garland and Vincente Minnelli, the studio's family experiment. If ever a love story should have been real, it was this one. Judy Garland, the luminous voice of The Wizard of Oz, and Vincente Minnelli, the visionary director behind Meet Me in St. Louis. But their union was never about love, it was about control. By 1945, Garland was spiraling. MGM had fueled her career with pills, amphetamines to wake her up, barbiturates to calm her down. Her erratic behavior terrified executives. Minnelli, meanwhile, faced whispers about his sexuality. So MGM decided to fix both problems at once. They'd marry the troubled star to the respected director, normalize both, and market the result as a dream match. The wedding was stunning, radiant gowns, flashbulbs, and tears of joy. But behind the scenes, Garland was in withdrawal. Her medication had been stopped for the wedding photos. Makeup artists covered her trembling exhaustion while executives barked orders to get her back on half doses by noon. Minnelli, meanwhile, had been cut off from his real partner for weeks. Their honeymoon lasted 4 days. Garland returned to set, medicated, controlled, and hollowed out. They did share something real, their daughter, Liza Minnelli. For a moment, it gave their marriage warmth. But Garland's addiction deepened, and Minnelli's secret relationships continued in shadows. By 1951, the studio couldn't maintain the fiction. The divorce cited artistic differences. Years later, Minnelli would sum it up in one line. They gave us everything. Homes, fame, publicity, everything except the right to be who we were. For Cesar Romero, the man with wives who never existed. In 1966, during a Batman press interview, a reporter asked Cesar Romero, "Tell us about your first wife." Romero smiled effortlessly and launched into a story about Elena, their wedding in Mexico, their peaceful divorce. It was charming, heartfelt, and entirely false. Because Elena didn't exist, neither did his second wife Carmela, nor his third, Luisa. For decades, Fox publicists had invented multiple marriages for Romero, complete with fake backstories, dates, and even doctored wedding photos shown privately to journalists. Romero was one of Hollywood's most elegant leading men, and gay. The studio feared exposure might ruin his career. So instead of forcing a real marriage, they fabricated 3 imaginary ones. Reporters were fed carefully curated details. Romero memorized them like an actor studying lines before each interview. He later joked to a friend, "The marriages that never happened extended my career by 40 years. The only trouble was remembering anniversaries for weddings I never attended." Ironically, his most famous role, the Joker, mirrored his reality that a performer forced to smile, concealing the truth behind a mask of laughter. 5. Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy, the greatest love story never told. Hollywood adored their love story. Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy, the passionate pair whose devotion transcended decades, that a forbidden affair, restrained by Tracy's Catholic guilt, carried out in quiet devotion until his death. It was the romance that defined an RA.IT was also one of Hollywood's most sophisticated lies. MGM didn't just cover up an affair, they created one. By the early 1940s, both stars posed PR problems. Tracy's alcoholism and violent temper risked exposure. Hepburn, rebuilding from her box office poison years, was known to have intimate relationships with women, particularly journalist Laura Harding. The studio's solution? Pair them publicly. Sell their great love as an epic tragic romance. Their first film together, Woman of the Year 1942, launched the narrative. Their chemistry was instant, the tabloids wrote, because the tabloids were paid to write it. Private letters later revealed Hepburn's awareness. The studio has decided Tracy and I are madly in love, she wrote to a friend. It would be funny if it weren't so convenient for everyone. The truth? They were close friends, occasionally lovers, but also deeply independent. Both had partners the studio could never acknowledge. MGM went to incredible lengths to maintain the illusion. They even created a separate Tracy Hepburn gossip pipeline, planting stories about secret dinners and vacations while managing press access to both stars. By Tracy's final years, the studio released photos implying he lived in Hepburn's home, a myth that persists today. Their supposed great romance was never about love alone. It was a brilliant cover, and it worked so well that even history believed it. 6. William Billy Haynes, the star who said no. Not everyone surrendered. In 1933, William Billy Haynes, MGM's top male box office star, sat across from studio head Louis B. Mayer, who handed him an ultimatum: enter a marriage we arrange, or your career is over. Haynes smiled, then said the 7 words that ended his stardom: I won't fake a marriage. Fire me. Haynes was openly gay within industry circles and had lived with his partner, Jimmy Shields, for 7 years. They attended events together, entertained friends, and made no effort to pretend otherwise. When a police incident threatened to expose him publicly, Mayer panicked. He offered Haynes a quick fix: marry a young actress, silence the rumors, and keep his career. Haynes refused. Within days, his contract was terminated, his name erased from upcoming projects, his promotional materials destroyed. He never acted again. But unlike so many others, Haynes built new life. He and Shields opened an interior design firm that became one of the most successful in Hollywood, decorating homes for the very executives who had destroyed his acting career. The couple stayed together for nearly 5 decades, until Haynes's death in 1973. Actress Joan Crawford, a lifelong friend, once said, "Billy was the only one of us who had the courage to tell the studio to go to hell, and look what happened. They took away his career, but they couldn't touch his happiness." These weren't love stories. They were transactions, contracts designed to maintain illusions, protect profits, and bury truths that didn't fit the era's image of morality. The golden age of Hollywood sold us dreams of romance, passion, and perfect unions. But behind those glossy photographs were lonely hotel rooms, hidden lovers, and stars trapped in cages lined with gold. They didn't fall in love. They fell on swords for the system that owned them. Every wedding photo was a press release. Every happily ever after was a performance, and every actor who dared to be themselves risked losing everything. So, the next time you watch a black and white classic, that tender kiss, that lingering gaze, remember this. Behind the silver screen's most beautiful lies stood real people, desperate to live freely in a world that sold their souls for box office gold.